How's it going? I'm Arabela, and I'm here joined by Billy Green of Wit and Vinegar. We are here for day 2 of live streams, with Adobe Live, and we're really excited. Tell us where you're watching from. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Jordan. Got a couple people from yesterday. We're really excited. We're going to be having another awesome live stream. And if you didn't get to catch yesterday's, you can watch the replay. Billy was working on a really fun GIF with a little holiday themed like hot cocoa and like some of these little kids like slaying around. So make sure to watch the replay of that. But today we will be working on some more food photography, GIF making, and composition. So we're really excited. If you're just joining us now, let us know where you're watching from. Hi, Andreas. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Voodoo Val. Hi, Wit from Denver. We got someone from New Zealand, from Rio de Janeiro. Wow. We've got people from all over. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. And we just wanted to I wanted to go over what we're doing today. So in about 30 minutes, we have a chat and win. We just went over the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with Anna. Thank you so much. And today's challenge was to create a custom banner with text and foliage. So make sure to submit those because we'll be reviewing them in about an hour and a half. We've got Billy Green until about 11:30. We've got another XD Daily Creative Challenge with Andrea, and then Amy Chen at noon, and Andrew at 2 p.m. for Adobe Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. So make sure to stick around because we got a lot of fun stuff today. Just wanted to introduce to you, if you weren't watching yesterday, Billy Green is a food photographer, and recipe developer, and he is owner of Wit and Vinegar, which is a fun little food blog. I'm going to hop over actually to his blog. It's so cute and so colorful.
Thank you.
He's also got a book, Whip It Up, so make sure to check that out. But here's his Instagram, so make sure to give him a follow, Wit and Vinegar. And just a lot of fun, like colorful food photography. And I'd love to hear more about how you got started, and for anyone who wasn't watching yesterday.
Yeah, so I went to school for photography. It's kind of where I started. And then it was like a photo graphic design, sort of like between those two. And then it just turned sort of into like a general art degree. And I've loved cooking since I was like a kid. Cute. So blogs were sort of beginning to start back then. It was like, there were some well-known ones, but the photography is not what it is now for food blogs. It's like night and day.
Different.
So I was kind of just like, well, I can take photos, and they did not look like this either. Okay, I'm not saying I started out better. This is good. Okay,
this is developed over time.
And so it was kind of just like a weird style. I didn't really know what I was doing when I started my cookbook. It was sort of a thing where they specifically wanted me to create like colorful imagery, so that's sort of morphed into what I do now with my blog and with my work.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love the colors that you use. You have really fun imagery, and just like playing with like perspective, and got all sorts of props and fun things. So I love it. We've got someone from Austin, Texas. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Isla. Hi, David.
Hi.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
And just wanted to let you guys know, too, we also do have a chat and win in about half an hour. So you'll get a chance to win 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. So make sure to stick around and be active in the chat. And if you have any questions, too, make sure to answer them, because Billy is here for the next 2 hours.
About anything.
About anything. Anything
preferably food photography.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything,
let us know in the chat what your favorite food item is. Awesome. Michelle says, love that colorful style.
Oh, thank you, Michelle.
Good morning, Eric. Thank you guys for joining us. So, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to be working on today?
So this is what we did yesterday, which is the GIF that we created.
Make sure to watch the replay of that, because it was really awesome.
Yeah, so we went over this whole thing yesterday of how to sort of put
it together.
Digital composition, creating a GIF, exporting for whatever you need it for. And at the end of the class yesterday, we talked a little bit about another GIF that I had created, and I wasn't necessarily going to talk about it, but everyone seemed really excited about it yesterday.
Yeah, and it's
we had a lot of
one.
questions. And it's Halloween themed, so I wasn't going to do it since it's holiday. But
and this is actually over on Billy's Instagram too, so we can take a look. This is the one that we saw yesterday, and everyone was like, "Ooh!"
Yeah, so it's we had a lot of questions about how I did it yesterday, and so I figured we'll just hop into that, and we'll sort of do like a quick version of what I did. And we can sort of go over the GIF process again. This one's much shorter in terms of GIF length and creating it. There's still a good amount of work there, but I'll just go through the process of the photography, what I did there, how I sort of put this together, and then we probably will have time to go into pattern making and some like digital composition that I did yesterday. That's not necessarily a GIF, that we're just sort of having fun with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm excited to see your process.
Yeah. So this was yesterday. We're gonna go back over here into Lightroom. This is where I start with everything. So this image was a Halloween image. I knew I wanted it to be like super fun and a little cheesy. So I went out and I bought the cheesecloth. I mean, that's not the cheesy part, but I bought, it's like the cloth that you sort of pull apart to like create webs, right? So I did that. I bought this like pumpkin shaped sort of like punch bowl. And originally this was just gonna be a still image, and it was just gonna be like someone scooping the stuff out. I wasn't gonna really Photoshop anything at all in terms of like a hand floating, and it was just one of those things where I think it happens to all of us, where like we're in the middle of a shoot and then we're like,
oh my gosh,
oh wait, like this would be a really good idea. Like everyone stop what you're doing. Like this is what we're doing now. Like just pivot.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what happened.
I love those spontaneous ideas.
Yeah.
They're so much fun.
And so it sort of just formed into a floating hand, which is great because it's Halloween themed. And I think it turned out pretty good. So we're gonna kind of go over today. It's gonna be like a rough sort of edit of it, only because it is a little tedious in certain areas for editing.
Yeah, especially I'm sure the cutting the hand and that.
Yeah, and also like
I think you talked about this yesterday too, the stirring part. Also.
Yeah, like how to sort of create a GIF for stirring stuff. It's very different than what you would think. You sort of have to create the effect of stirring, which sounds really weird, but that's just what it is. And then also like at one point in time, like I think the camera had moved a little bit on like the master layer, and so there's a little extra photoshopping that has to be done. But that's okay. We can still talk about.
That's kind of all part of troubleshooting and what you do to fix it in post. If something happens.
Exactly. So this image I played around a lot with. I wanted it to have sort of like a red hue to it because I wanted to sort of also play like even like sort of further that like cheesy, like Halloween, like spooky.
Almost like at a Halloween party or something, like the lights are like, you know.
And so we did like a gel, which for this, they don't really make gels to cover like giant soft boxes. And so with the way I have my setup for my lights, I actually had to go and use like cellophane that you use for like wrapping presents.
Got it. And just kind of put it over the softbox?
So you sort of cover the softbox with that, and that'll give you not as good of an effect as if you had gel. I think the gel and sort of that thing on like a smaller light is probably the best for this, but I was in a hurry and I wanted something that like looked really good. I had the cellophane already, created it, and played around a lot with it. So there's like all kinds of options in terms of the lighting of how it looks based off of, and also like I tried it on like my main light, right? Like the hard light, I did that first, and then I did the softbox, and I went back and forth. And I ended up staying on the softbox to sort of give that effect. So,
and you've got the texture in the back too, so it feels like, you know.
Yeah, and it also kind of, it's one of those things where like if I really wanted to get into it, I probably would have done even more like composition work where, you know, I would have gotten the light on the hard light to give me an effect on the like the web in the back, because that casts like a different light back there versus the other one. But that's a lot of work for something that I probably would have been the only one to notice. And I've learned over the years that it's just not worth it. Unless I'm bored. And then maybe I'll come back to it and I'll, you know, I have the photos so I can do it. And that's kind of the cool part.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I just went through, did everything. Once I got the lighting that I wanted, that's kind of like when you're working with drinks, especially, it's like we gotta move.
Yeah.
We gotta move because you got ice, you got, no matter
That's
how cold your
true.
studio space is, it's like stuff's gonna melt, it's gonna
Yeah,
look dead really fast. So like we say food looks dead when it's like, doesn't look like it has any life to it, which sounds like, now that I say it out loud, really stupid. But it's like when you put lettuce on something and it's like wilted looking, or it just doesn't look fresh.
Yeah.
So you want it to look like just like really good. You want it to look appetizing. You want people to take a drink of it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And actually somebody had a question kind of relating to this, but
Yes.
how much of food is faked and what makes best food? Clay, glue, alternate food stand-in? I don't know, maybe you don't work with fake food or?
That's like a lot of commercial work, and I don't do a ton of commercial work.
Okay.
Those are like very intense sort of things that like I just don't have the patience for. I like playing, that's also like a food stylist thing too. Where they're the ones that are gonna know like all of that, like a commercial food stylist, but I would have those, they would have those tips. But a lot of times too, it's not as fake as I think people think it is. Like there's like those weird internet movie or film like things that go around, and it's like, you know, I don't know, there's like motor oil for maple syrup or something. Like that's not true. That's just not true, I'm sorry. And it's not, I mean, I will say though, there was one time we had to shoot a bowl of cereal for a brand, and we did use Elmer's white glue for the milk.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, I've even heard like where like you technically aren't supposed to like shoot fake food, like if it's going to be an advertisement, because
there's like some FDA stuff that is involved.
Interesting.
So we did use that for the cereal, and that is something I think we talked about it yesterday, where something you can look at something, like you can look at a bowl of cereal with like whole milk or even like heavy cream or something, and it's gonna look great, but it will not photograph that way. And it's just something about the lighting and everything else. The milk just looks extra watery when it's photographed. It's really bizarre.
Interesting.
So we used the glue, and it actually works really well, like surprisingly well.
That's amazing.
And a lot of stuff you'll see with like a bowl of cereal, if there is milk and it looks really luscious, it's probably milk.
Probably glue. Oh my gosh.
That's the only weird thing though. Everything else I've done has been weird.
Awesome.
So I got the lighting right on here. I ended up settling on something like this. This is when I was like in the middle of making the punch, so I'm like adding the liquid before the ice just to make sure that part's good. It's like it's sort of a step thing. So whenever you're shooting drinks, it's always good to put liquid in the glass. Minus this glass right here, obviously. This doesn't have any liquid in it. But I wanted to see, like, in the bowl, make sure that looked okay, you know, do all those things. And then the very last thing we do is fill up all the stuff. So
got it, okay.
Then we have, this is kind of, I think, what we ended up settling on.
Yeah, that looks awesome. The colors are so beautiful. I love that you had all those flasks too, and like
like all the fun little So this is what we ended up settling on. When we took the shot, I knew I wanted to create a GIF. So the way the idea I had in my mind, and this is also something we talked about yesterday when you're making GIFs, is that you have an idea in your head, but it's not always necessarily going to execute properly. So like in your mind, you're like, well, I think if I do XYZ, I'll end up with like 1, 2, 3, but that's not always what happens. And then sometimes you do it and you're like, sometimes you do it and it works really good. This is one of those instances. And sometimes you do it and you're like, no,
gotta start over.
So the idea I had behind this for shooting a GIF, for having the floating hand, I knew I needed a master where there was no hand or arm at all. So in my mind, originally, I was like, okay, cool. If I Photoshop out the arm, I can have it be open to the very bottom for like the master, and that's what's going to sort of show that there's a floating hand. And if I have a master behind, we're not touching that the like cheesecloth material at all, so it's going to stay the same. So if I Photoshop out the arm and I have the master underneath with no arm or hand, then in theory, it should look like a floating hand. And I can do that for several different things. That was my original plan and idea. The issue I sort of ran into a little bit is that you have to worry about like some shadow work over here, like on this bottle. Since he is standing right here, the fill light from the red that we have is on this side. So this the softbox with the cellophane, we're getting that light effect on here. So that's why his arm is kind of like this.
Like above, yeah.
Yeah, and so the hard light's coming in from this way. So he's blocking a little bit of shadow here on the bottle, which is fine, but then that red effect is also kind of being taken away right here just because of where his body was. So I had to play around with that a little bit, and then we'll also have to play with the punch bowl because we want it to look like it's being mixed. So there is a little bit of a trickiness. This cup right here also is very oversaturated, and that's because the drink itself is already super red, and then
on top of
you add that glow to it.
The gel.
Yeah, and in theory, what I probably should have done is just composed it in photo first. So taken a shot where I actually block that fill light coming in so that we don't have anything. Use like a white card or a black card to sort of make sure that red light wasn't touching that at all. Because we're gonna go through and we're going to take out some of the saturation later, but it would have probably been easier to do that. So the other thing we talked about yesterday when you're doing a GIF for stirring liquids, or a hand sort of doing any sort of motion like that, is that you actually don't wanna photograph the hand really like stirring it because it's gonna go too fast. And by the time that they stir and they get to another point and you're able to fire the strobe again, it's gonna be like almost in the same place in the bowl, everything else. You have to sort of, in your mind,
kind of break it up.
Yeah. So what I had him do when he was stirring is I sort of had him go in like a star. So I had him start on one part of the bowl. We took a shot. We had him move the ladle again. And as soon as he moves it to that place, I take a shot so that I still get some motion and movement in the liquid itself.
Yeah.
So you don't want to move it and then wait like a minute. You want to have him move and then photograph. So the hand's still, but the punch is moving, if that makes sense. So then that sort of gives that effect of the stirring.
Okay.
So I had him do that. I took a lot of shots of all of those. And we ended up using about 4 or 5 is really all you need to get the effect of someone stirring it.
Yeah, someone going all the way around.
Yeah, and especially like this, if I was just having him stir it and I wasn't photoshopping out the hand, then I would have used probably like 10 or 12 frames.
Yeah.
But to get the effect to make it easy for us and everything else, we need to keep it light.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna see where we have no hand, right? Where we got that master shot, which would be this one right here.
Nice. Michelle says, food photography is so hard.
It's really tricky.
It's very tricky.
Yeah, it's even trickier if you are the one doing all of the styling and everything else too.
Which is what you do.
That like adds to it.
Voodoo Val says, I feel like this knowledge can help me when thinking about balanced colors for illustration too.
Yeah.
With the saturation and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Cool.
So then we're gonna go back and I'm gonna try to find a spot here where we have our master, we have that. I think we took actually one more.
And that'll help you for the hand.
Right.
Cutting out the hand.
So this one right here is the one I believe we used.
Nice.
For the master. Did we? This is a Halloween gift, so it is a lot of shots, and I did it a while ago, okay? I think we're actually gonna use this one right here.
Nice.
Because I believe this has less movement between frames, so I think it'll actually make our job a little bit easier.
Okay.
Looking back, that's what I should have done. Okay, so we're gonna do that, and then I'm gonna go through here and I'm gonna kind of see like, okay, where do I want? So there's one hand here, two hand. This is actually when we were testing.
Just like scooping.
Yeah, and hand modeling things. It's always funny when you're shooting someone's hand because you're gonna have so many stuff in the things in the front because you're like, okay, we need to see like what makes this look natural.
Yes.
But also comfortable for you, and then also
I know
good.
It's always like kind of awkward if you're like,
because sometimes people over model when you're like, I need you to hold this thing for me, and they're like, and I'm like, I just need you to pour a glass of water. Or you just
be normal.
Yeah, exactly.
Be casual.
So that's what we were sort of testing here. So I had him sort of hold it, and then what would look the best. So this is kind of where we start seeing this is, I think, where we end up finding. And this one, I also do like that we have some finger modeling as well. So it does sort of give that effect of
I love
more
that
of
it
like
leads into the punch bowl. It kind of like leads you through the whole
and it sort of
image.
gives like more of like a dead like zombie hand effect. Sort of, you know, like
does. Yeah.
And that's all accidental. That kind of thing where he does that, and I'm like, yeah, it looks great. Like that wasn't my intention originally. It's like that thing where another thing where you just like halfway through like, wait, that actually looks really good. That could, you know.
Let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, so we're gonna go through, we're gonna see all these ones right here. This one's actually pretty self-explanatory in terms of like the stirring. So I think what we're going to do is we're gonna find where we start to stir, which is about here. And we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames. And you can actually see right here. So up here, right here is like the preview thing. And this is something I do too, is it's hard to click, 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 clicks. But if you have the preview open and you run your mouse over here, you'll sort of be able to see the GIF effect a little bit of the thing. And then you'll get that. And the cool thing too is like if we pull these 5 in or these 6 in and they don't work, we have all those other options. You always want to like overtake when it's photographing for this kind of stuff. So we're gonna do these.
Michelle says, happy accidents.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
We'll actually take this one too real quick. And then we'll also
sometimes you just never know.
Yeah, and sometimes you're like, maybe. I don't know. And you can always do like a rough cut in Photoshop of the editing and then go like, oh yeah, like that's totally, I don't need that. Like, I don't have to really focus on editing it too much.
That's great.
And then we'll grab this one right here, which is our master. And then we can go ahead and just do File, Export. This was our hot chocolate test from yesterday.
Yes. So many.
And we'll just put it in here, in here. Great. We will choose this. We'll change this right here. And then I'm exporting these as PNGs or JPEGs actually from Lightroom, which is great. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
And then we'll change this too, just so we don't get confused.
Awesome. I love how seamless it is from like Lightroom to Photoshop.
Oh, it's
and like,
so great.
Just
I didn't use
Lightroom
Lightroom for the longest time.
Same, actually.
In school, I was taught to use Bridge.
Oh, okay.
And so I'd always use Bridge. And I was sort of afraid of Lightroom because I wasn't taught in school. So it was all self-taught, like, okay, we're gonna watch YouTube videos. This kind of stuff is great. Like, I wish I would have been on Behance when I was in school because like this would have been so nice to have. So take advantage of this resource. Like, there's so many good tools on here.
Yes, and all Adobe live streams are free and available to watch, and anytime. So the link is behance.net/live. So
so we're gonna go back into Photoshop. We're gonna do File, Scripts, and then load files into Stack.
Okay.
We're gonna do Browse. We're going to come here. Halloween is already here. So we have 8 options here for frames. And like I said, if we don't like something, you can just go. And the cool thing is you can export with previous in Lightroom too. If you see another one, and it'll just throw it right back in this folder for you. So you have something else to choose from.
Nice. Very cool.
And we're gonna hit OK.
Oh, Michelle says, I still use Bridge.
I actually know people who use Bridge and Lightroom.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
They sort of pull everything into Bridge and then use Lightroom and then use Photoshop.
Yeah, yeah.
But Lightroom and Photoshop are all included in the cloud, the same photo cloud plan. So you're paying for it, so might as well use it. Yeah, and I like it sort of organizing. I put everything onto a hard drive, which is like something I never used to do, but like in the past like 6 months, like you have big jobs, you're doing a lot of photos, always put it onto a hard drive. And the cool thing about Bridge is you literally can plug in your card, pull everything in, and it goes right onto the hard drive. And then anytime you need that Lightroom sort of catalog, you just plug your hard drive in and you can find it.
That's great.
Okay, so we have all these options here. Here's our master. Here's this one.
Awesome. Cool. And just under 5 minutes, guys, until we've got our chat and win. So make sure you are active in the chat because you'll get a chance to win some stickers. Yeah. Ooh, everyone's talking about a bridge in Lightroom. Ooh, David says, so the punch bowl picture was showing really weird on my PC, but it's because I have a colorblind filter on. It changes the image completely. Much better without the filter on. Hi, Kirsty. Welcome. If you guys are just joining us, we're here with Billy Green of Wit and Vinegar. He's showing us this fun little Halloween GIF of, well, hopefully it'll be a floating hand swirling the punch. Did you guys maybe like use this for like a Halloween? Do you guys like keep all your props and stuff, or do you end up like?
We do keep our props because I like to have a tub of props for the following year. A lot of holiday stuff is actually shot and edited months before it's actually used most of the time. Okay. So a lot of times Christmas, you'll get a Christmas job. It's in like October,
right?
And it's almost always right before, like the week before they put out any Christmas decorations. And we learned that a couple years ago, and it was for a big job. And we had to like order stuff on Amazon from like weird sellers or like garlands and stuff.
Yeah.
So then after that, it's like if you have the space, you can buy those. Like we have those tubs you put under the bed.
Oh,
because you never need them.
You don't until you do.
Yeah. So we pack it all in there, put it under the bed, and then it's like, you know. So
makes sense.
We have, this is the master, and then we have all of these guys, and you can see it does move a little bit. And this is the other thing, when you're doing a GIF, invest in a remote. Our remote was not working this day, so it moves a little bit. But the remotes are really cheap on Amazon. You can buy them. Amazon has like their own brand.
Okay.
Just make sure it's compatible with your camera and invest and use it. Yeah. It helps.
Yeah, that'll help keep everything still and in place.
Or you can also tether to Lightroom and you can fire the shutter that way. That might actually be a better idea.
Yeah, if you're tethering.
Yeah.
Kilarm, I don't know, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. How did you deal with the shadow on the background? And maybe move the lights?
So that's another reason why we have the master. So the master doesn't have any of that, right? This right here is the master. So the arm, we're gonna Photoshop out the arm and use this background.
To like fill, yeah.
Yeah. So you can see this here, there's a shadow, right? And he's also sort of blocking this, this bottle
that
right
little
here.
light, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to, we almost have chat and win here in a little bit, like a couple minutes. So I'll just sort of show you what we're doing in terms of starting. We're gonna keep this guy right here as the master. I'm going to actually, we're gonna lock this just so we don't accidentally do anything to it. And then we're gonna have this one. So we'll show you just starting to erase everything.
Okay.
Yesterday when we erased things, we used a soft brush because we wanted to give the shadow wasn't super hard. There was some softness to it, so we wanted to sort of continue that when we were erasing things. So this one, we want it to have the effect of like an actual floating hand.
Yeah.
Right? So a floating hand wouldn't like softly disappear.
Yeah.
Right? It would have like, if someone had their hand cut off, it would have a hard edge.
Amputated.
Yeah. So we're going to use the erase tool to sort of just erase the arm.
Okay.
We're gonna round it out a little bit too. We're not gonna just chop it. We're gonna have just a little bit of a roundness on the hand to sort of also give that effect that it's, so then we can take that and then just erase the rest of the arm. And then you have a floating hand.
Awesome. Kirsty's asking, do you use a Wacom Intro Pro and pen or any of those tools?
I don't. I do have one, and I have created patterns with a tablet before because some of my work has patterns in the background. So I will use that for that. But I just, for some reason, I tried to use it in school because we had to learn it for a project, you know? And my mind just can't compute with like watching that. And like I try to look at my paper, if that makes sense. And it's not paper. So.
All right, you guys, it's time for chat and win. Make sure you stay active in the chat. You'll have a chance to win some stickers. So we'll be right back. And we're back, you guys. Say hi in the chat. What's your guys' favorite food? Hi, David. We're just waiting to see who's going to be the winner of our 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. Hi, Richard. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Eve. Woo, woo. We're just waiting. We're waiting. I feel like the chat always goes so fast in this moment. It's like, go, 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 go.
Everyone's in a hurry.
Chanel says sushi. Michelle, chocolate. All the pasta. I had pasta yesterday. Yum. Ugh, love pasta. Taco Tuesday. We got a lot of chocolate. Bacon and cookies. What's your favorite food?
Oof.
That's a hard question for you, huh?
It's a hard question for me. It's very mood inducing.
Yes.
I don't really, depends what project I work on, and I don't
That's
eat
true.
that food anymore.
Yeah. Eggplant, Parmigiana. Oh my gosh. Vanilla wafers. We got chocolate. Name anything with pasta. Ooh, congratulations, Jeff. You are the winner of the 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. So you'll get a message on Behance for how to redeem that. And if you didn't win, that is okay. You can still get 10 stickers for $1 over at stickermule.com/Adobe Live 19. So make sure to head over there and get some stickers. Stickers are great. We love them.
Yeah.
So cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, so last thing we did was cut off the hand.
Yes.
And so, like I said, we're sort of rounding it out, and then visually in our minds, we're also going, okay, where are we cutting this off?
Yeah.
So that we know in the rest that
For
arm
the
isn't
rest,
growing
yeah.
back
I was gonna say,
slowly.
how did you even how do you even determine that? Do you
There's
just,
sort of like
eyeball
this
it?
like bone right here that you can sort of see in the hand, and I went just like right past that. I try to use visual cues in terms of like keeping consistency between everything, because I think that's, obviously important. So that we have this master here. The other issue we were talking about earlier, someone asked about the shadow. So that's another reason why we have the master, so that we can actually take and erase this frame right here.
Oh, yeah.
And the shadow from him standing there is completely gone.
Nice.
And it's good.
Yeah. And that way you can add in some of that light to the bottle.
Yep. So what I'm going to do is, so we're not messing too much with like the whole frame, is I'm just gonna carefully erase everything that's right here. So this little beaker, or whatever the thing's called.
Yeah, a beaker. Earlier I was like flask, but that's not it. Beaker.
I think one of these is beakers and one of them is something else. If you guys are science
Are you guys
people and you know,
scientists?
let us
I'm
know in the
like, my
comments.
head's, like, right
What
over
are
it,
these
but
called?
What are these called, y'all?
Because I buy them at Michael's and it says Halloween decorations.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do this, and then like I said, we also need to sort of focus on fixing the glass later. So while I'm here, I'm going to take this glass and I'm going to, you can see that it got a little lighter right here when I just did that, and that's because he was blocking a little bit of the light on here as well.
Okay.
I'm gonna take out some of the saturation, so I'm just gonna carefully erase basically like where the drink is in the glass.
Got it.
So that we can go back on our master and take care of that selective adjustment on
Lindsay says
itself.
test tubes. Graduated cylinders.
Oh, well, probably graduated cylinder.
Yeah. Thanks, Kathleen.
Thank you.
Aw. Richard's like, the Addams Family.
So that's another way that I was kind of just like, well, where was that? Where was the thing's hand? Like, how far did that go? And actually on the old one, I think before they had like computer stuff, it actually went like pretty far back as far as like the hand. So then I sort of looked at a little bit of the newer ones. I don't want it too much, but that is something that I sort of used to base off the, to kind of like look, research.
I love it.
Anytime I can Google Addams Family images for research, it's great.
Yes.
So like I said, we're gonna erase pretty much just the arm and then everything down here, bottle, beaker, glass.
And that glass. Perfect. Sweet.
That way we have as many things we can that sort of stay the same.
Nice. And you're going to be doing that for pretty much every single one of the shots, huh?
But luckily this is like 6 images versus yesterday that was like 29.
Right,
so we couldn't do yesterday. But this one we should be able to do pretty well. So I'm gonna go and try to go back right here.
And match where that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you can kind of see. And sometimes, so what you can also do is you can take this one that we have locked and you can pull it up right here.
Just so you can actually see
so when we go to export, we're going to sort of do that.
Hide those layers.
Where we're going to, hide all of the layers.
Smart.
Sort of like we did yesterday with the sled, where it was kind of, we had to hide all of the rest of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll do that. That can actually be a little cleaner.
That's kind of like really smart. I feel like every time I've made GIFs before, like I'll usually like make a new layer and like edit that and like edit on top of that.
That's what I
versus,
used to do
like,
too.
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
And then there was one time where I had another GIF where it wasn't like 29 layers. It was like a ton. It was like a lot. And it was like, and they were all sort of different. And I was just like, I can't, it would be so much if I copied them. And then I did that and I was like, oh.
Yeah. That makes so much sense.
So we'll go ahead and crop that again, about that place.
Nice.
We'll erase that. The backgrounds do sort of unmatch just a little bit, and that's okay. The cool thing about this background, since I didn't use a timer or a tether or anything, is that it has this texture back here, so you don't really notice that it's
like a little bit off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see here as I'm doing it, it's a little bit off.
I see. Okay. That's awesome, though. Very fun. Guillermo's asking, isn't it better to use masks instead of deleting pixels? This way you can recover something if you need to. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you can totally do that. I just, because of this, usually when I do masks, it's when I need to not necessarily take something away, but the opposite, where I need to bring something in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when I do masks, I mask to bring like a little bit in. And it's, for what we're doing, we're actually taking that away. So we can't, it doesn't work as well for me on doing that. But you could totally do that. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I think there's so many different ways you can do
and
stuff.
I use masks a lot for a lot of other stuff, especially in food, because there's so many selective adjustments. It's usually when I use them, and it's just like, you kind of need to be able to to go back in if you need it.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, Altine. Hello. We're working on a fun little Halloween GIF of a floating hand swirling some punch, so stick around to see the final thing. Yeah, if you guys have any questions relating to food photography, food photography editing, composition, we'll be here for the next, hour and a half.
And then we're going to take and erase everything right up until the edge of the bottle. And then there is some shadow that's right here, but that would kind of be the natural shadow from the hand.
From the hand. So
we're gonna leave that to kind of give the effect that there is still a shadow and it doesn't look super
off. Yeah.
So just erase this.
Yeah, plus it's very magical and you don't have to be perfect.
And then we'll do the same thing here. We'll just erase the drink.
Sweet.
Perfect. And then we'll just kind of keep moving. So this one, same thing.
Yeah, this one's definitely a lot less complicated.
Yes.
Nice. And you said that this whole floating hand, that was kind of at the shoot, right? Like you just thought of it
we were shooting it, and then I was like, ooh, that would look kind of cool if we kind of kept it, did like this idea where the hand's floating. Because originally it was just supposed to be this single image of him like doing
Scooping
it.
or something.
Yeah, and then it was, oh, a floating hand would be really cool. And then I was like, oh, what if it was a GIF? Because that would sort of push the effect that the hand is floating too.
Yes, yeah, versus just still being there, you know?
Yeah. And that way it kind of looks like it's not Photoshopped, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome, looks fun. Do you get that a lot when you're like shooting your work? Like you just come up with concepts on the fly sometimes?
Yeah, because a lot of stuff with food, it's just like you'll have an idea in your head of how something's going to look or how you want it to look. And just sometimes food is just like, nope, we're not doing that today. And you can't fix that. So with food, you kind of have to be ready to change your mind and switch up ideas and do all that stuff.
True. That makes so much sense. Fun. And how did your like style of like super colorful like food photography come into the, you know, picture? Like when did you decide to start playing with?
It came in when I was doing my cookbook because they asked for that. And they originally said like, oh, we love the way that you shoot food and it's super colorful. And at that point in time, I really wasn't doing this. And I was kind of just like, okay.
Yeah.
I think I had like a few images that were sort of like fun like that. And that's just kind of how it evolved. And then from there, I kind of flew by the seat of my pants as to how to do that because I had sort of just gotten out of school and I was like, we never did that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and so.
It's so different from norm, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, after that, I kind of just did the book. And then after that, I just sort of evolved and evolved. If you look at the book, I have like the patterns that I do. And that's kind of what inspired me to do like the digital composition.
Yes.
But those ones were very much like sort of pieced together and very much patterned out in a very like strict way. And now it looks a little bit more organic in the way that we sort of put it all together. It is like 100% like completely different. But that's sort of, the book is where it sort of kicked off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you've got such fun like color combos and it's just awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. I try to just like have fun. I think that's like the biggest.
Yeah. Like I would, a long time ago, probably would have never thought to put like this bright purple and bright red with like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Guillermo says, have you ever worked with automated movements to photograph food? If so, what's the main difference in the process?
No, but I love, there's an account and people keep asking and I keep forgetting because I don't think he posts that much.
What do you mean? What does he mean automated movements?
So like there's robots that they use for commercial shoots.
What?
Yeah. And they are insane. And there's this Instagram account and he shows behind the scenes of the setup. So like if you're watching a commercial and there's like a splash. And like there's one where he did and it was like a juice commercial and it needed fruit to come from this side and so in there it's like a slow motion like fruit and juice splashing together. So it's actually like timed robots and one of them launches the fruit and the other one squirts out the liquid.
Insane.
It like throws liquid and then but it looks so beautiful and seamless and you would never guess.
Oh
It's
my God, that's
wild.
incredible.
I wish I knew what the Instagram account was. I always forget because I always want to tell people about it. But they are crazy. And he had one too that was for like tennis. There was like a whole rig that he had for like a tennis commercial.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Because they needed to be so
People are really
specific. Yeah, it was so wild.
Getting wild with these things. Voodoo Val, Billy, what is your cookbook called?
Oh, it's called Whip It Up.
Whip It Up.
There was like one printing of it, and so I think now it's like you can buy like used copies on Amazon. Like that's like the option. But it was a UK publisher, so they probably have maybe more in the UK for sale. I just don't think that they sent more to like the US distributor.
Dang, that's cool. Can we click through to your website and like click the book and find some copies there?
Yeah.
So make sure to go over
on
there. The right hand side.
Sidebar, there's gonna be just the photo. You just click on the book and it'll take you to the Amazon page, so you can go ahead and find it.
Let me see if I can show people. So right here, if you go to Wit and Vinegar, right under it, this pretty little portrait of Billy is Whip It Up, and I think you can click it over and it'll take you to
it'll take
somewhere.
you to yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
So I have 2 more that we're gonna edit here.
Perfect. Yeah, if someone knows the account for that, make sure to put it in the chat. I know there's one account that's like pretty funny. It's called like Shitty Rigs. And it's all like fun, like interesting rigs that people like make like just
that
for
kind of
like
stuff?
shooting or just like
Oh.
in general, like,
Yeah.
and it's just like putting their equipment in like really weird, like probably dangerous positions.
Yeah.
And it's like crazy.
It's like photo world, the commercial photo world is
It's
so
insane.
wild.
Yeah, it's so insane. And there's just always like more stuff like coming out that like
Yeah.
isn't just, yeah, it's insane. Cool.
A little trickier. Sometimes it's like you just have to get the curve of the arm just right. Mm-hmm. And if I were like planning on this too, and this was like an idea that I actually like thought out instead of like was on the fly, I would have probably done like masking tape around the arm where I wanted it to be cut off, and then that way I would have a ruler of everywhere I could follow that line and could do whatever else.
Yeah.
It's those things where you think about it afterwards
After the
and you go,
fact.
that would have been great.
Yeah.
But I'm not making like 3 gallons of punch again to shoot it all over.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's a lot of punch to recreate. Yeah, that's smart. So there's so many things that you learn over time, and you know, for the next shoot or whatever, you know better.
And that's kind of the great thing I love about is just like learning when it comes to this kind of stuff, and sort of like really getting in on honing in your skills and figuring it all out and doing all that.
I'm always like so curious how like photographers like balance things on top of each other. Like I know sometimes it could be like skewers or they'll use like, I don't know, some sort of rig to like hold it up and they Photoshop it out later.
Yeah, so when we do the next one, you'll actually see a little bit. I usually use a lot of skewers and toothpicks. Something else that I've used is floral wire. Floral wire works really well because it's not super strong, so you can sort of stick it into things and it'll also hold up a little bit better. There's this stuff they sell at like Michael's and a lot of other stores that's like it's like a sticky sort of putty thing for posters.
Earthquake putty, probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it super strong?
It's not strong, but it helps hold things in place.
Oh.
Like I know we use that sometimes for certain
yeah,
props. But
so like that would work. The other one that I was thinking of is from like 3M and it's just for like posters and stuff. So you put it on the wall and it won't damage the wall.
Okay. Yeah.
I use that a lot when
That's
stuff isn't
cool.
as heavy. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Andrew is saying, were you talking about Steve Geralt? Maybe? Oh, yep. Here it is, Steve Geralt. Is that?
Possibly.
Yeah. Let us know. That's fun.
If he has a recent post that's a video of like a tennis rig, then yes.
Oh my gosh.
He just posted it, I think like last week or the week before.
Oh my God, I'll have to check it out. That's insane. Crazy.
Okay, this is all good.
Nice.
Get this glass.
Yeah, that's starting to look really fun already.
So this one you sort of just want to do like, there should be about 5 or 6 frames. You know when you're, that's the other thing too about having the model do a motion where it's sort of like, you know, doing the star or whatever, you kind of know, oh, right, like it's 5 frames that we're going to be using. So you should be able to figure it out. Okay, 5, 6, maybe 6 frames, just depending on it.
Thank you, Voodoo for putting in that. Yeah, I think they found it.
Okay.
It must be him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys.
He has like a bunch of followers, but yeah, it's wild.
I need to go check it out after.
Like just the patience that people have to have. I mean, that's also what you get with nice big budgets too.
Yeah, that's right. So true.
Big budgets. We're always doing things on a dime over here, so it's.
What are your like best like places to find like good like affordable props and stuff? Like, where's your favorite?
I like
places?
going to just like weird places, like because I have a little bit more fun. I also have like really beautiful props that I paid money for. And that's for like clients who want that kind of stuff that doesn't look like cheesy.
Yeah.
You know? But it's, I mean, honestly, if you're just starting out and you're like, even if you're not starting out, thrift stores are really good to go. Thrift stores are always going to have weird silverware,
shapes or
glasses,
things.
platters, all these things. And vintage stuff right now in terms of in props and styling is totally coming back in style.
A lot of vintage like vases or like things like that.
Yeah.
Glasses.
Yeah. So I would that
sure.
would be amazing to do that. And then you could just go there, shop there. Like places like Home Goods and TJ Maxx are also really good.
Hello, Tima. How's it going? Nice. Yeah. All those places sound like good places to like rummage through and scour.
And there's also places too, like CB2 has really great props.
Yes. CB2 has beautiful stuff. West Elm too.
Okay. So
Very nice.
I think we have.
Oh yeah. That looks so fun.
So you can kind of see back here too, where there's also like a little bit of a shadow coming and going with the arm. If we were really spending like a lot of time, I would go through and I would like touch up those little places too. It wouldn't be as big of a deal if I had tethered and done it, so it would have been perfect. But I think this is probably good enough for what we need.
Oh yeah, that looks awesome.
So then we're going to do is sort of the same thing we did yesterday. We're gonna bring up the frame we need. We're gonna export frame by frame, and then we're gonna put it together. The one thing I do wanna do real quick is to fix this drinking glass right now.
Oh.
So this is something where we will do
Were you talking about the saturation or?
Yes. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do like the hue and saturation. I'm gonna go and just take some of the saturation down just a hair, because this drink is, this drink right here should look exactly like these ones here, but because of the way the glass is shaped, where it's sitting in the frame, everything else, it's very much bright. So I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit, just like that. And this is the same thing where this is what I use my masks for. We could have totally done that. We could have absolutely done the masks on the arm as well. If you had a ton of frames that you had to work with, I would say definitely do that, because then you can go through and be like, oh no, like take a little bit out here, whatever. For a few frames where we don't have a ton of work, I just like the quickness of just like an erasing tool to sort of get rid and make sure nothing else is sitting there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna fill it with black. We're gonna use a white brush. And that way we can pull in just what we need for this drink.
Nice.
And then that way, too, we pull these up and you can see where it's not as saturated because we took it out when we were doing the other stuff. I'm going to go through real quick though, because that is moving just a little bit. So there's a little shift in the glass. Yeah, still kind of is. That's okay. So we'll go through and we'll just do that on all these real quick, just so that part is good to go.
Oh yeah. Awesome. That looks fun.
Okay, so then we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna export everything we need to. So we're gonna do this one right here. Same thing, file, save for web.
And that's with like the layers hidden that you don't need.
Yes, so it's going to be just the one right here. That's the one we need. And then we're always gonna have this one open and the background one right here open as well. And then we're gonna just basically take away what we don't need and then add the one that we do and just kind of boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, smart. Fun.
I'm actually going to resize this real quick just because we do not need it this big. So I'm just gonna do the image size. We're gonna go down to 2000.
Perfect.
Perfect. And then also, I know yesterday we did the thing where I said that I like to add a few layers This is equivalent to what you might have for an action in terms of, you know, adding these other things. I just like to open this up and like copy and paste. I always have a file of these 3 layers saved somewhere. And it's just like something that I like to do versus having an action for them because I don't need to do it as quickly. Like when we had the feather action yesterday, that's something I'm doing a lot of.
Yeah, so you can just like grab that, but this is like at the end of this, what you need to do. Yeah.
It's all the way to the top, and we'll see. Nice. So this is without these, with the we're gonna probably do the exposure a little bit, and then maybe one of these.
Nice.
Just to boost
it
a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's kind of just like Lightroom always is like the base of the makeup that we need, and this is just like a little bit of lipstick or something. You know, like it's just a little bit more, but
it adds that extra oomph.
Yeah, and then what we were saying yesterday too, when you're editing stuff for specifically phones, they're always gonna read not as bright. So you want to bright, like they need that sort of boost in saturation and contrast.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have all that. We're gonna do the export now. We're gonna do File, Export, Save for Web. We were doing the GIF yesterday, so that's kind of the default that pops up. We'll do PNG.
PNG for this one. Cool.
Great. Save.
I love that texture. It looks so fun.
I know. It's just so nice that it lends itself in terms of like not really needing to worry about. It's not like regular fabric where you know everything has to be perfectly lined up.
Yeah. And like not worrying about wrinkles.
Yes.
Wrinkles is fun sometimes, but sometimes you want it to be clean.
And then I'm just gonna put these right back in the Halloween folder that we were using earlier. And then that way everything kind of stays in one folder. So we're just gonna do Halloween GIF edit on here.
Okay. Cool. And then you just go down the line.
Yep.
Sweet.
So we'll take this one out. We'll add this one.
And then the size that you have for this image, is it already kind of like a 4x5-ish for like Instagram?
Yeah, so I almost do either 8x10 or 4x5 and square, pretty much exclusively, unless it's like the 11x19 for like a screen size.
Yeah.
Those are just, I just like those crops. Yeah, and there are some times where it will be a little off because I don't want something on the top of the frame where it needs to just be resized a little bit, but I just like following those sort of guidelines for sizing and ratios.
Yeah, when you like are taking these shots, are you like tethering and using something to like help guide?
Sometimes, yeah. And then other times I sort of either tether. If I can't tether for whatever reason, then I'll take a couple shots and I'll pull it in, and then I'll make sure it's on a tripod and then go, oh, this needs to be moved a little bit, or this needs to be moved a little bit.
Nice.
Because sometimes you just don't have the room to tether and like set up a laptop and everything else, so you have to kind of improvise.
Cool. This is gonna be a fun little GIF. GIFs are so fun too. They do they look so good on Instagram and just social media in general. I feel like it's like the easiest way to do video without doing video.
Yeah.
Because video is a whole nother
it's a whole monster
beast.
Yeah. I need to get better at video. That's like one of my goals for next year, because I feel like I've done video work in the past.
Oh, have you?
A long time ago when like, you know,
what kind of video?
A long time ago.
Like what kind of video work?
It was just like old stuff for like companies where I would like make like little videos for like little like local commercial sort of things.
Yeah.
And it was just like, now I'm just like none of that will work.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so old and like not great.
It's an older style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
video. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's so big right now too.
Yeah.
But that's why I like love GIFs too, because it's just like, it's easy.
Yeah, and GIF, I think it's sort of, depending on what you do, can have the same effect as a video, but I like the look a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like the stop motion
Yeah.
vibe, animation vibe, in a way.
Export Save for Web again.
Cool. Awesome. So you guys just, if you haven't submitted to the challenge yet, you've got about 30 minutes until we review those over on Discord. If you need to watch the replay, you can definitely check it out. There should be a little challenge tab above the chat that you can click into. So yeah, make sure to submit those. And the challenge for today was to create a banner with text and foliage. So I kind of took a peek at the challenge before we went live, and it looks super cool. So can't wait to see your challenges.
Okay, so we're doing the load files into stack thing like we did yesterday.
Okay.
And like we did today. Today when we were putting all that together. Then we have these right here.
Oh, fun.
And then we can just sort of assemble. So these are all with the hand. We're gonna just do the create frame animation, make frames from layers, and then probably needs to be a little slower than 0. We were saying yesterday too how when you have less frames, you actually need to go a little bit slower on your speed. So each frame needs to be a little bit longer, and that's just to give the effect of something actually looking like it's moving.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had 29 frames, so those were 0.1 seconds, and
Yeah.
it could work like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so fun. Thank you, Viduval, for plugging in those links for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge and Discord. So make sure to submit those.
So then we have all these in here. There's the one that I don't like, and it's this one right here, because I think it just looks a little clunky because the ladle's not fully submerged.
Got it.
So we're just gonna get rid of it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And then
that
we
looks
just have like a
amazing.
little hand. Yeah, and you can see up here, there's a little bit of work that we can do probably right here if we really wanted to go in and touch up, you know, to do that. But we get the effect that we need right here. And then, yeah, you could go through and you could mask it out some more or erase some more or sort of do something like that. But this is sort of the general idea of how this would be created.
Yes.
And how you would animate this.
That looks so good.
Yeah, it's just like fun and a little different, but it would work for a lot of things. So if you guys do this again around Halloween, or if you want to celebrate this sort of look in the summer, we can all do that. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. And then maybe do you want to explain too, like exporting the
Yeah.
different ways for anybody who wasn't watching yesterday's stream?
For sure.
Because there's definitely a couple ways that you can export a GIF,
Yes.
and it all depends on where it might
Where
end
you're
up,
using.
where you're using it.
I almost always do.
Richard says it could be a severed hand.
I almost always do MP4s exclusively for everything I do now because I know what I need it for. But it would probably be a good idea to do both a GIF and an MP4 when you're exporting, just so you have both. You don't know, especially if it's for client work.
Yeah, you don't know
they
where
could
they're
go
gonna
like, oh,
put
I
it.
can't upload this video to my website or whatever it is. So, save for web. Just like we were doing with the PNG, but instead of the PNG, it's gonna be the GIF. It's the same export situation. We're gonna do 128 dithered, and then we're gonna switch to from 128 to 256. This little preview screen is great, and we're gonna move it. We're just gonna drag and click because there's certain things in here I'm like, well, what do I wanna look the best, right? This is what I wanna look the best. So we're gonna find this hand. 128 on this one actually looks pretty good.
Yeah,
We're gonna zoom out. Well,
oh, and the other.
but then you have kind of, you know, not the best when you go all the way out. Even when it does look good at 128, I'll still do like
Yeah, there's a
256.
very noticeable difference, I feel like, in some of the details. Like, awesome.
And then we'll just save it right back in the Halloween folder. I like to kind of keep everything in one folder when I'm doing this, because if I ever need to make edits or anything else, the same one where I have the final file is gonna have everything that I need to sort of fix, you know,
Yeah.
little tools in there.
Do you end up finding that you do go back and fix certain items, or does it depend
Yeah,
on what
sometimes.
it is?
Yeah, sometimes. Because what'll happen is I'll have it in here, I'll put it in, and then I'll bring it on my phone. I almost always look at stuff on my phone after I export it really
That's
quickly,
smart.
just because it is something like it'll look different on your computer screen than your phone, no matter how your screen's calibrated.
Yeah.
So I'll pull it into Instagram, I'll pull it up on my phone, I'll look at it, and I'll go, oh, like, no, like this needs to change a little bit, or this needs to be done, you know? Like we were doing the sled thing yesterday, and that whole thing happened. That was something where I was like, okay, I'm done. And I went to go look, and I was like, oh no, there's like that one frame that I forgot to take off, where
Yes.
it's like a little bit peeking out from the cut. Same thing, like I can go back and I can edit it all.
Yeah. That's the beauty of keeping all of your files safe in a folder.
So that was the GIF. We exported a GIF, and you
Okay.
would use that for mainly websites and portfolios. So if you think this is something that's like really cool, like, oh, I want to put this on my portfolio, go ahead and do that.
Do you have any suggestions as far as like what file size you need to keep it at for folder, or for your website? Or
You
portfolio?
can make these pretty small. I would say about 1500 is what I would export for if I was using that. And we're gonna save this as a PSD for future using for that. And then you can go through and you can edit the size to whatever smaller one you want it to be.
Yeah.
And what I usually do when I resize is you can do it where you like resize and then save sort of like a new copy or something.
Okay.
Usually what I do is I'll just open the PSD, I'll resize, I'll export as a PNG, or I'll render video, and then I'll just close out and I won't save the file.
Won't save
again.
it so that it
so it's
stays
still a
that
big size.
file.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That way
the
you don't
large
have
size.
as many, because then you're just gonna recopy that and it's gonna be another huge file on your computer or hard drive that you don't really need.
Yeah. Good point.
Oh wait, sorry. We already did the GIF. File, we're going to export, and then we're gonna go to render video. And like I said yesterday, I literally just keep all this stuff. This is the default
Okay.
on
Everything that's
Photoshop
there. Yeah.
for rendering video.
Nice.
We'll do select. We'll just put it all in that same Halloween folder.
Perfect. Voodoo Bell says, I have found it's best to keep my work at about 1,500 to 2,000 pixels when I export GIFs.
Yeah, because sometimes it depends on your website. Like sometimes if you have something that is a GIF and it's a really long GIF especially, and it's too big, it's gonna have issues and it's gonna look just a little
funky.
clunky. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thanks, Voodoo Bell.
Thank you. And also when you're exporting GIFs, the smaller the GIF means the less megapixels in terms of size. That's why, you know, and which means you're gonna have less colors that it has to focus on.
Okay.
So it won't
That's
have.
why the quality kind of ends up suffering a little bit.
So when you make it smaller, the quality actually is a little bit better.
Oh.
Because there's
Okay.
less pixels that it has to recognize and create.
Got
Does that
it.
make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So when you're doing that 256 colors that you have to pick, there's usually less, you know. For a color, sometimes it'll have on a huge file like 6 pixels and it'll make up all these little colors, and smaller ones, you don't have to worry about that as much.
Interesting. Okay. That's a good point.
And so we'll just do the same thing. And we'll render the video, and that'll come out and then go back into our folder, and then we'll have both the files to do
Yeah,
that.
and that way you have both, and whatever
Yeah.
the client might need or whatever you want to use it for.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that you can also, with exporting, you always want to look at it, like watch it play on the computer or your phone, because sometimes the speed is going to look a little different on Photoshop just because you're editing it.
Yeah.
Depends if you have a bunch of programs open. If your computer's a little
That's
slow,
true.
the GIF will actually look a little slower on Photoshop, only because you're trying to like make your computer work to something it can't really do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I like to pull it out and look and see what it looks like on everything else, and that helps so much
Okay.
to do that. So yeah. We still have some time, obviously.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
the next thing that I'm going to do, this is the Halloween GIF we talked about yesterday. I'm gonna go back into Lightroom. We're gonna go do a little bit of fun like we had yesterday with, we did the like hot cocoa GIF yesterday. Same sort of principles in terms of like how to arrange arrange everything.
Yes.
But today we're not really going to do a GIF. I mean, we actually could do something where stuff doesn't necessarily move, but
like
maybe
kind of disappears or something.
Yeah, like
or
twinkles
even
a little
turns
bit.
around
Yeah.
or rotates.
So we're gonna focus on another shoot that I did right after the hot cocoa, and that was on some
Oh my gosh, how
some
cute.
cookies. So we have little like sugar cookies, brown sugar cookies here.
Love
and
it. So in the spirit.
yeah, all these little
holidays.
shapes, fun stuff. You can see here, this is like the floral wire I was using for this specific shot. So when I can't use skewers or toothpicks to poke it into something, floral wire is really good for helping stuff stand up because it's inexpensive. You can buy it at the craft store, so you don't have to go anywhere special. They sell it in different gauges, which helps a little bit.
Cool.
And then the wire too, we had some fun like making that like a little wavy thing for the ribbon. And the ribbon's technically wire ribbon, but the wire is very weak in this ribbon, so it doesn't really move. And I wanted it to really hold its shape. So what I do is the same sort of thing we talked about yesterday. So I had to go and shoot like 4 of each cookie to really have options to make it look really full. And then I did the ribbon and some oranges because they're like an orange sort of sugar cookie to sort of get the thing. So I kind of went and I just shot and I just had a bunch of fun with like what would work.
That's so fun.
It's like we have this like really fun sort of wavy ribbon, which looks like bacon, which I noticed after I was shooting it. And then I said, you know what? We're rolling with it, okay? Because I don't want to go and find other ribbon. And I love the color combo
is fun.
This like baby blue with like a red and a white. And I like that it sort of reads holiday and Christmas, but it's not your classic red and green, right? It kind of is just like holiday general spirit, you know? So I have all the cookies.
That's so fun.
We have stuff from a side angle. I reshot some of the trees because I like to, when I do this kind of stuff, the camera goes on a tripod and I shoot everything at the same place. Yeah. Because I want the perspective to be the same.
The angle to be the same.
The angle to be the same so that the shadow is believable. Yeah. So it doesn't look 100% like it's photoshopped together. I kind of like this idea that it sort of looks like we sort of shot everything.
Yeah. Yeah. But what's great too about like shooting these individually too is like everything is so crisp too. Yes. So then like if you were to really shoot all of it in one, like things obviously would get you know,
stuff wouldn't be as in focus.
End. Yeah, exactly.
Stuff wouldn't be as in focus. You can also make these huge if you want, because the frame is going to be, you can shoot the cookie, the whole frame, and you could make a pattern that was like wallpaper and everything would be so nice and crisp, you know?
That's so true.
If you're shooting it like this and you want to zoom in on something, it's going to be so pixelated because you want to focus on one cookie or whatever. That's another reason why I love the files can be huge.
Love that.
I never really needed that, but I like that it's there.
Yeah.
So then we have also overhead. Overhead's a little more like willy-nilly where you can sort of, you know, shoot everything overhead and then go in and resize it and everything else. I think we're gonna do the angled one today. I think that's going to be my go-to. The overhead one is fun. There's some like fun stuff in here, but I think the angle is the best. So we have everything.
My gosh,
I just tried to do like all the weird stuff I could do with the ribbon so that I had all these different options. You can sort of see on this one, there's some tape and floral wire right here. So I would probably just cut this guy off right here if we use this and then Photoshop this out and we'd have it.
That's amazing.
So all of this one was a little tricky. I needed to stand up and like the floral wire wasn't cutting it. I probably should have used like a string or something or a clip on the top, but...
Or held it.
Yeah. I tried to use a tree. That obviously is not the answer. This one we ended up, I think I just held it.
Love it.
Maybe the wire was working and I just was like, hurry, take the shot.
Yeah. It's so fun. It's so fun what you end up using as like to prop something up. You're just like, what can I find right now? Like what's heavy enough? What?
Yeah. So many of these digital composites like this are so crazy because it's like the weirdest things. Where you're just like, here's like half a skewer.
Like, how did you even do that?
Yeah.
But it works.
So then I have all the possible angles of everything. So I went through, I shot all the cookies like this first. Just it to be the perfect sort of thing. So we have all the different options for the snowflakes, for the trees, for the little gingerbread guys. And then we sort of switch over so everyone's facing the other way.
Oh my god.
So that we
that's
have
so
as
cute.
many options as possible,
Yeah.
right? And
That's so
then
smart.
eventually we try to do like little things where we have fun
combinations.
with them. Yeah. So we are we're putting it all together digitally one by one, but you want it to sort of have like variables with everything. So there is certain things where we will shoot 2 or 3 cookies, or if we're shooting fruit
That's
or
so
whatever.
smart.
Yeah, you want to
Sometimes when it's just the one, you know.
it looks a little patterny, but when you combine and a few things are like grouped together, it sort of breaks it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's
and
fun.
that's really great.
So cute.
So then we're gonna go through, and I'm gonna go back to what I did yesterday. I'm gonna grab the same, since I shot this
editing
the same
styles.
time. This is another reason why I love Lightroom versus, I don't think you can do this. You can't do this in Bridge. You can go through and literally, like yesterday we found out what worked for us. That looked great. So we can just literally go and we can copy and we can paste the same edits onto the stuff that we need for today.
Yeah. That's the best part.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like
Oh yeah, that
great.
looks good already.
Night and day.
Yeah, seriously. That blue really like sticks out.
Pops so much more. And I think that when we did like you can go through, and this is one of my other favorite tools in Lightroom, is this option right here where you have all of these, and you can boost the saturation in just the blue, or in just the reds, or you could take it out. And it's like, that tool is so helpful, especially in food, because sometimes
and especially with your kind of colored food photography.
yeah, when you have so many colors, sometimes I'll be shooting something on like yellow, and the yellow will just be so vibrant and like oversaturated because of the lights. And so I have to go through and I selectively adjust in here yellow when we take it down.
Do you ever find it difficult when you have like colors that are kind of similar, that when you start messing with one, like the other one will also?
Yeah,
or is that why
that's
you purposely like?
And that's what I'll do in. I know that there is like a selective brush in here, but because I always pull stuff into Photoshop, I always go ahead and just like I save that work for Photoshop, where I go through and I'll do all of the selective things in there, so that I don't affect one and then the other too.
Good to know.
So then we're gonna do this, and we're just gonna sync all of these things.
Nice.
I don't think we'll need the trees, but just in case, you never know. Oh, did we not sync? Oh, no, we did.
Oh yeah, maybe it just takes a second.
So then we have everything. We have the oranges.
That orange is so pretty.
We've got these little trees just in case you need them. We have all the fun with the ribbon. And then that's pretty much it. So we have a bunch of elements. Like I said yesterday, it's always good to overshoot.
Yeah.
Have extra to work with.
Especially when you're making like a pattern and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then since everything's already selected, we can just go File, Export. We will choose a new here, sugar cookie. Choose, and then we'll do sugar cookie pattern for the file name.
Nice.
Export, and then we'll get all of those in there. I never really resize when I export from Lightroom to Photoshop as a PNG. I leave it the full size.
All the details.
Just in case, yeah. You don't ever want to worry about almost everything in here is going to be made smaller because we're doing a pattern.
Yeah.
But you just want to make sure that it's not too small. And then I also like adjusting the size on Photoshop too from a large to a smaller file, because it actually just sort of sharpens everything when you do that.
Okay.
And you don't have to worry about putting a sharpening mask or anything on there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Just or almost 10 minutes until we are going to review those challenges, so make sure you submit to those in Discord. Yeah, if the challenge today was to create a banner with text and foliage, so we're excited to see those, so make sure you submit them. Cool.
Just exporting. If anybody has any questions,
Yes.
any holiday plans?
Oh, it's still exporting?
Yes, there were 52.
Oh, yeah. That's going to take a while. Did you export them as JPEGs or as PNGs?
PNGs.
PNGs.
Oh, no. PNG.
PNG.
I believe it's PNG.
And is there, personal preference or just?
No, it's kind of just like, I think PNG works a little bit better, but I'm not gonna like throw a fit if I can't export as PNG, you know? I don't think it's that serious. Some people, I think, are very like black and white as to what you can
diehard
and can't
fans
do.
for one or the other.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So I will actually go through. We can load files into Stack. So it does, as it's exporting, it's not something where you're waiting for everything. It actually is exporting. So we can go in here and we can start working on this because we'll do 29 to the regular one.
Nice.
And
so you end up putting it all on like layers and
same thing,
okay.
layers, like we
Cool.
did yesterday with the hot cocoa. So I use this script a lot to load everything into a stack because I need to be able to kind of go in and control and do all those little things.
I always like to use script to like resize images for like just like web size versions, and it's like the best. And it just does its thing. It's like Buddhavel's asking, Billy, what's your favorite project that you have created recently?
What is my favorite project? I think yesterday, the one that I did with the hot cocoa, that was a lot of
That
fun
was
because
so
it was
fun.
something where we just got to kind of do it and like hang out and
It's fun that it was like a new project too.
Yeah,
that you just created specifically for this live stream.
Yeah,
so.
I shot everything on Sunday and then I said, okay, we're gonna go do this on Monday, and I edited everything. That was like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Billy drove from Fresno like to San Francisco. So you like shot that in the morning?
Shot it like morning, afternoon, and
my
drove,
gosh.
and then in the hotel on Sunday night, I edited everything to make sure it was gonna be like good to go, and then
then
came
here
here
we are.
Monday.
Oh my gosh! Make sure to watch the replay of that because
it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Tips and tricks and some masking and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Prathamesh is asking, what do you think about Adobe Illustrator?
Oh, I love Illustrator. Like I said, I did graphic design and photo at the same time, really, and so I was
Did you
very
learn
familiar.
those two programs like pretty much?
Yeah, because like it's weird learning Photoshop from a graphic design standpoint because it's completely different than using and in Photoshop, when I learned it in my photo class, it was very like fine art driven, so it was very much like layers. You didn't do a lot of fixing of anything. It was kind of just like there wasn't a lot of like going through and making things wild or weird, like nothing like this.
Not
we
like
didn't do anything
transforming
like this.
or like
Right, yeah. It was kind of just like, here's the image. If you need to sort of play around with it a little bit and make it weird, we were sort of given that option, but we weren't really taught that option, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Manipulation is the word that I was thinking of.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of too.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. Because, I think when Photoshop, like at least how it was to me too, it's kind of like cleaning up or like doing little things.
Yeah. Layers. Oh, we need to fix the color balance in here.
Yes.
We basically treated
And
it.
then Lightroom came along, and then it was just like, ooh,
Yep.
like that was like kind of the first.
Yeah.
Like how you were saying, like the foundation.
Yeah, and we kind of treated it like it was like a digital darkroom in a way, where like when you take black and white photo, you kind of apply those same rules to the photos using Photoshop. But Photoshop can do so many things.
So many things. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's crazy. I remember like MySpace days and like going into Photoshop and making like buttons and like I don't know. I thought I was like a super cool person because I could make like these little things, and it's crazy. Photoshop's so fun.
So we're gonna edit and fill with a color. And this was actually from yesterday, so we're gonna use the same one, but I would take the color dropper tool and just pull it from whatever background I'm using. And then that way we can pull up this guy. We're gonna always lock these background layers, because especially in these pattern ones, you end up sort of dragging and collecting things and resizing and everything else. And then you don't wanna accidentally do that to your background. So the same thing as yesterday, we're just gonna kind of do like a quick inverted selection, do this, and this, and this.
Nice.
So these are much easier edits than yesterday. I love doing easier ones like this.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go through with the mask and just collect it. With food, there's always going to be a mess. There's never not a mess.
I know. There's always crumbs. There's always things. That's awesome.
And then go ahead and we can do
Oh, yeah, the feathering.
the feathering action, which is just going to do, we learned this yesterday where it was. Right there.
There you go. I almost forgot.
We learned it yesterday and just kidding. Select, modify, and feather. And I go in and I'll just show you the feather radius right here. It's really easy. There's not a ton to mess with. And this 3 is probably what I use for my action. You don't want to go too crazy on it. Because then it does kind of get a little weird. We just want just a tiny bit and it's mainly for the shadows to do that because the shadows are like sort of finicky on textured backgrounds. Like I use painted backgrounds. So we'll do that and then we'll erase this. And actually, we'll deselect. I'm gonna see if I can actually get edit fill and if we can do a little bit darker of a layer or of a color blue on here.
Okay.
Because I think the blue is a little light.
Okay. The one that you're using for the
background, yeah.
Thanks, Foodabelle. Yep, less than 5 minutes until the challenge feedback. And yeah, get those submissions in over to Discord. We've got a few minutes left, so.
Okay, so then we'll go ahead and then it's that same sort of thing where we were doing it yesterday where we sort of just like move up the ladder and we just kind of edit everything to what we need it to be. So this one right here, you can kind of see like I use floral wire to sort of hold up the cookie. And in something like this, it's actually a little trickier to edit once.
Once you've masked it.
Yeah, so usually I don't use big pieces of tape like this. But you can use a spot heal brush. That's really nice. The clone tool is really great in here too. Patch, I use the patch tool a lot as well. The cool thing is that these shadows are sort of really small. So there's not gonna be a ton of variance in them. Sometimes when you use the clone stamp tool on like bigger things, you know, you'll start using it and then you're like, oh wait, this should have been lighter. Like,
yeah.
And then we can always do the patch tool as well.
Nice. Yeah, all these tools are amazing at helping clean up everything.
Yeah.
It's the best.
And these are something too, I feel like a lot of people don't really know about them. And so like sometimes I'll be asked to like retouch something on food, like real quick on a shoot or something, and I'll do it and they're like, whoa, I didn't know you could do that. And I'm like, it's really easy. They make it easy for you.
Yeah, yeah, they really do.
Okay, that one's pretty good. Do the same thing here. Luckily, there's really nothing to clean up on this guy.
Just like the tape a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, but actually you won't even grab that because you're gonna mask it out.
The only thing we have is this little tiny piece of wire
sticking. That's sticking underneath. And when you're doing the wire, do you just like make like a little like stand in a way?
Yeah.
Okay. That's smart.
Yeah, you sort of just like twist it around to like make a little stand for it. I mean, but there's been times where like I will go through and it's like I need something to stand up and I'm like, oh, here's like a little piece of like cardboard or something or a little piece of like construction paper. I'm like folding it and like doing all of these things like that are like way too much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. Such a cute little cookie.
That's good. And then we'll just do the same thing where we sort of...
Perfect. It's kind of nice because it just... Oh, and you changed the color of the blue too, huh? So now it's like...
It's still a little not as vibrant, but once we put that final filter on, that usually boosts it up a little bit too.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll do
call.
inverse, remove. And because we have this, it's just, that tape isn't involved at all with this, which is really great.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I'll erase this little guy right here.
It's so interesting to see like how you end up masking something. And there's so many different ways too.
Oh my God, I know. And then we have these two.
Nikoma says pen tool for masking is great.
Oh yeah, sometimes I use the pen tool as well.
Cool.
But it's one of those things.
All right, you guys, I think we are ready to head over to Discord to review some of those challenges. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna do a real quick refresh. Hopefully we get a couple more. Let's see. Okay, so this is from Ant. This is so cute.
It's really good.
Aw, that's so fun.
Yeah.
I love that there's like masking involved in too with like the banner. Like some of the foliage is like in
sort of
the
weave
banner.
together. Yeah. And that's sort of like what we did yesterday with the mug and the trees.
Yeah.
We wanted to give that effect that it's all on the same plane and kind of like playing with space.
Yeah, exactly. That's super fun. Yeah, and it's really like there's good feathering here too. 'Cause sometimes like this kind of like plants and stuff can be really difficult.
Yeah, especially like pine needles.
Yeah. I wonder if they came as PNGs already and it was like super easy, but love it. This is fun.
Yeah, it looks great.
I like this texture of the banner too. It's like, I don't know, like a, what do you call it? Burlap almost.
Yeah.
Fun. This is great. Thank you, Anne. Okay, let's see. And then I wonder if this is from yesterday. Let's see. Was Ant the only submission today? Okay, maybe we'll review a few of these from yesterday because I think we didn't catch these. So the yesterday's challenge was to do a reflection. Yeah, we see some reflection here at the bottom.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that if this was a little bit higher and we could see a little bit more reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe try that out for the next one, but otherwise, good job. All right. Ooh, this is from Dan. Yeah, so for anyone who didn't see yesterday's stream, the challenge was to do a reflection. And it seems like a lot of them were animals, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. I like that this one you can actually see more of the reflection of.
Yeah, it looks
Is
great.
it a fox? Is it a fox? No.
Yes, I think that's a fox.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. Oh, this one's cute. This is from DMark. I like this. This is so cute.
That looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the colors too. And yeah, I think maybe just like making the reflection a little bit like higher just to touch the.
Yeah, I think it just needs like whatever you're using as a subject and then whatever you're using as a reflection, it just like barely needs to like, just like a little kiss of a touch.
Yeah.
So that it, because there is a surface that it's standing on. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. But otherwise, good job. It's quick and dirty, well icy. Cool. I think that, oh, this one's also from yesterday's. Ooh, I like this like kind of more.
Yeah, it's like a shadowy.
It's more shadowy.
Ooh,
Yeah, this is from
mysterious.
Guillemets. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, great job, guys.
Yeah.
It looks like we had only had one submission for the one for today, but
I think today is a little more difficult than yesterday.
today's was a little bit more challenging. So
more
good job
involved.
to Ant for trying
Looks
that
great,
out.
yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
submitting. Make sure to check out the challenge for tomorrow as well. There's always challenges, and they're really great for practicing your skills, or it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or if you're advanced. It's always good to get some practice in.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. All right. Cool.
Back to this.
Back to this.
So this is what we start to kind of work with here. So we have everything, like we were talking yesterday with subjects and resizing, you always want to make sure, unless they are like all different objects, then that really doesn't matter as much. But one of the reasons that we're using a tripod and we're shooting it all the same is so everything stays the same size and it looks consistent in terms of like the effect that we're trying to go for.
Yeah.
So if you are starting to do like a pattern like this and you're like, oh wow, these cookies are way too big, make sure you select all the layers, turn the eyeballs on to all of them, and resize everyone at the same time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because if you don't, what ends up happening is then you have to go through and like selectively one by one go, oh gosh, is this the same size as this one? And then it starts to look a little funky.
Yeah.
The cool thing though is like, if it's not the same, so like the ribbon, maybe the ribbon we want to have like a really big effect, it doesn't matter. There's really nothing showing what the cookies look like in terms of size with everything else.
Okay, cool.
So then same thing, we'll just move on to here and we'll kind of go through and I'll show you what it looks like for, you know, the cookies and then versus the ribbon.
Cool.
Yeah, so the light blue.
Richard says, I think light blue is used as it doesn't reflect as much.
It's for this, it was just a personal preference in terms of style. Like I wanted to have like that holiday feel. This is actually the very first board that I painted. And so it's like, you can see right here in the corner, it's missing a corner.
Oh.
Very beat up, but it's lasted really well. It works great. It's like my favorite color to use. I love using the light blue with stuff because I think it helps some stuff pop. The cookies are like a little bit of an orange color, so we're playing with complementary colors in that way. That's why I use this. For reflection purposes, it really just depends. There's certain paints that just reflect a lot more than others. And sometimes, I mean, usually actually reflection happens a lot. There is some sort of a reflection here. If you zoom in, you don't really see it as much because the cookie isn't dark.
Yeah. And I think like light blue too also has like, doesn't do as much of a color reflect either, or like a color cast.
Yes.
Is what I mean.
Yeah. Yellow is the most offensive when it comes to reflecting colors.
Yeah. It's brutal. And then you don't want to end up like having to remove that if you have to change the color.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is so fun. So did you make these cookies or were...
Yeah, so this is a recipe that I've been working on for a little bit, and so this will eventually be a post.
Be a post on your blog.
Yeah, on the blog, and then also in, it'll be like an Instagram post on there as well.
Yeah, so make sure to subscribe to Wit and Vinegar because that'll be up on the blog.
Yeah. And if you follow me on my Instagram, it'll pop up there, and then you know, then you can also know when a new recipe goes up. Or
How much of your time ends up being like shooting, and then developing recipes? Because you do both,
right?
And I'm sure you do different things for different clients or projects and stuff.
Yes. I don't know. It really just depends. It's like. Depends like how difficult the recipe is. And then from there, it kind of is like, you know, sometimes it'll take like a week to develop a recipe. Other times it'll be a day. It just really depends on that. And then the photographing it really just depends. These are actually super easy to photograph because they sort of do the job of looking really cute. And we're sort of putting them together. You don't have to do any crazy props or anything like that. So this takes like maybe a couple of hours to photograph.
Oh yeah.
So
and
it's
just
not
like
bad.
rotating and doing the little variations and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. They are super cute. Oh. Do you think that, because I'm assuming that you do both like cooking and baking. Do you find one easier than the other for you? Or like, I know some people are like, I can't cook, but I can bake. And
I like doing like both very much. But I don't know. I like baking a little bit more. I think baking is actually a little more difficult in terms of recipe development because, you know, you're always trying to do all these extra things and sometimes it just like doesn't work out. You also usually have to wait for stuff to like bake or,
so it's a lot more time consuming.
Yeah. So that's kind of the only difficult thing about that part. But overall, like, I like baking a little more. I think baking itself is a little bit more rewarding in terms of like figuring out the recipe and like accomplishing that.
Oh yeah. I love the little etched like designs on the little
Yeah,
cookies.
that
So
was
cute.
like kind of a tricky thing because they're from like a stamp, like a cookie stamp, but you have to use like the right recipe. So it's like you have to
'cause
find
otherwise
that.
it might look not right.
It'll like spread or
Yeah.
do whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, these are all things that I, unless you're a foodie or like you bake and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Oh, it's already starting to look so cute. Oh my gosh.
So we'll get one of the ribbons in here. Maybe we'll do this guy
The little bacon one.
just to like peek into the edge.
Awesome.
And there we go.
There you go.
Perfect. Delete. We'll do this.
I love that tool. The
That's
magic wand.
The best.
It's literally the best.
And I feel like too, it's Photoshop somehow figures out, like Adobe figures out how to finesse it a little bit more with each update because
Yes.
I'll use it and then like a couple months later I'll use it again and I'm like, I feel like it's working better this time.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe I'm clicking something different.
It's
but
the
like
2020 version.
Yeah, I just feel like it's constantly improving,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I know. And they even have the like select subject button now, which is, I don't know if you've tried it yet, but it's actually pretty crazy.
I haven't tried it. It keeps
my
popping up to tell me over here.
Yeah. Oh, does it?
You know, because it's like,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
And
well,
like
it's not
it
doing
does
it now,
it
but
like if you see
Oh,
it,
like
it's
this
like that
right
one
here.
right there.
so it's like a little video and I'll be like, you should
Oh,
try
yeah.
this or whatever. And then I'm always like, maybe next time because it's usually for work. Like I don't get to do a ton of fun
That's
stuff right
true.
now. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I need to hurry up and get this done.
It's so insane. Like it's gotten really good at detecting like exactly what you're, obviously it's
knows.
easier with some images, but even like there's been like images where there's like an environment like grass and like other things and it still like gets pretty like
That's crazy.
does
I
a pretty
remember
good job.
like when I was a kid and it wasn't like, Photoshop was around and they would advertise that you could like do like the select thing and then like, you could take a child out of like a field of grass. And be
Oh my
like,
gosh.
Whoa, that's so cool. Like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
Now I know.
Now you know.
So yeah, we have like a little bit of a ribbon.
That's so cute already.
So then eventually
obsessed.
this is just going to sort of have this effect of like, of sort of just like being like a fun like field of cookies.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like another option. So we're not having everything stand up. So everything's sort of like laying down a little bit. This is another one of those things we talk about, how perspective changes how you actually set things up. So with this, it's kind of interesting because like if you were to look at this overhead, like these are not evenly spaced out at all. It's actually like this one right here in the back is like pushed way further out.
Right.
And then these guys, but to make it look like it's even from an angle, it's completely messed up from the
It's
top.
so
It's
different.
so
Yeah.
weird. It's such a mind game.
It is so weird. Yeah, and it also like sometimes like how you photograph or the kind of lens that you're using, like there's distortion and all that kind of stuff. Like
it's
all
so,
depending on what where on the edge you might
Yeah, it's
probably
wild.
why it's good that you're shooting all these kind of in the middle and
Yeah.
like,
That's another thing too, is that the sort of warping that you get, the distortion with different lenses, you don't have this. Everything is flat. Everything's
Yes.
good. You don't.
Yeah.
It's so much better to do stuff like this.
yeah, especially for patterns and like kind of
Yeah, exactly.
compositing like different things into one. That's awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of these, it gets way easier to mask these out and, and do like all of these like fun little things for here. The only thing you really can't do with these is move them around too much or rotate them too much. So when you shoot them, that's kind of where they stay because you want the shadows to all be the same for all of the stuff that you're doing.
Otherwise it looks a little clunky.
Yeah, and I'm sure you could go in and Photoshop a shadow in there, but that's just so much work, and it's easier to just take a photo of a cookie at a different angle.
Yeah.
So usually what I'll do too when I'm making patterns like these is I'll photograph everything and then I'll leave the setup. So I'll leave it up and then I'll go try to edit, and then that way sometimes I'll do it. I'm like, oh, like I need like one thing that's shaped like this for this one little piece. And if I don't have it, I can run
Then
over
you
to
can
the
just
setup
run
real
over.
quick
Oh, that's
and
great.
photograph what I
That's
need.
so smart.
Yeah.
That's good. Because then, yeah, sometimes you don't notice or you don't know until
Yeah,
you're
you
like
don't.
seeing it as you're editing.
No.
Oh my God, I love this one.
I know, this little breakdancing gingerbread man.
Thank you, Voodoo Val. Yep, we're almost coming to a close, but yeah, any last minute questions?
Yeah,
I think
ask
we have
away.
about, 5 to something, 8 minutes. Yeah, any questions about food photography, editing, compositing, GIFs? We did a lot of GIFs over the past 2 days, so.
Yeah, we did. It was very GIF heavy today, which is great.
Yeah, very awesome. And you guys will have these live streams available to you so you can watch them and, pause if you want to create something of your own and just kind of watch exactly how it's done.
Yeah. Oh, those gingerbread men are so big on the screen. I said, you look so tiny next to them.
I know. I love it, actually. Do you mostly like edit like this zoomed into or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this thing because it's just so much easier, especially on a smaller screen, like a laptop screen. You have to sort of be like in the cookie. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, they look gigantic. Richard says it's time to eat. That's right.
Yeah, I know.
How much of your food do you actually end up eating, like after you
quite a bit of it. It depends. Like stuff like this I won't because there's like wires and tapes that have been stuck to it. I'm not gonna eat adhesive. The cool thing is though, when you do stuff like this, this gingerbread man is actually this gingerbread man. You know what I mean? So
all the rest of the other ones that
everything else is still fine, which is another reason why I like doing this. Something like this, these are all different cookies. Obviously this is something I just shot all together because we need the shadow to kind of all go the same way to be believable. So we could probably do something like this on here. It just would be a little bit more difficult to not,
Yeah.
So like real quick, one of the last things we'll talk about on here again is the shadows. When you sort of edit shadows, they don't tend to all be the same shade or color all throughout. So if you use a clone stamp, it's gonna pull it up from, over here. This is lighter than over here, right? It's sort of a gradient a little bit, but we do wanna use something over here versus something over here. So what I like to do is use the patch tool to sort of make it so that they're all like the same.
Yeah.
And then you always just wanna make sure too that you don't touch any of these pixels in the cookie.
Yeah, because then it's gonna
because then it'll pull the orange.
Stuff from that. Yep.
And the patch tool is great because then it just kind of blends everything together and sort of smooths it out. It's really
it kind of grabs tool. That texture.
Yeah.
Because the texture's pretty even. It's just the color that's different.
So it's like
gradient.
Yeah, and it's like that's before and this is after, and it just smooths it out, and you don't even notice it anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah, especially because you're working at such a smaller.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is going to be shown probably, on a blog or on social media. So.
Yep. Yeah, and you want it to look cohesive and smooth for, all of it. We're going to use the feather again. Take that away.
Cute. And how do you go about, do you just kind of, play around with, your pattern? How do you decide your pattern? I mean, is it just
it's all it's all fly by the seat of your pants because you just don't know. You don't know how stuff's gonna look or how it's gonna work together. And so I just create until the frame is full, or sometimes you're like, oh wait, no, it's that thing where it's like, oh no, I need this one more shape. I'm gonna run back and I'm gonna reshoot it and doing that. And when you shoot a bunch too, it's kind of great because it doesn't look like you're just copying and pasting row to row to row.
Yes, yeah, and it actually looks like it's all.
It's a little more organic. Yeah.
Yeah. Heidi says, Billy has a great sense of spacing and repetition in his work. Some of it could be really fun as a wallpaper.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing wallpapers?
Yeah, so if you actually go to my Instagram, there's a highlight on my an Instagram story highlight, and you can go and I have anything I create for a wallpaper, it's all cropped out. You can do the whole hold it down and screenshot. And then take it as a wallpaper. But there's a ton of stuff on, there's a lot of them on there that I've done. And I've realized that they are so much fun that lately I've been trying to actually create
Create
for
for
specific, like,
wallpapers,
yeah.
yeah.
Because sometimes too, like, there was a joke that I made about like some Satsumas that I bought, and I had bought them out of season, so they were like very expensive. And I'm like, I need to get as much as I can because I only needed one for a shot, but you have to buy them in a box.
Yes.
So I was like, we're going to make a pattern out of this.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
put it up
definitely.
because like we need to get something besides just that out of it.
Yes. Richard says, pass the eggnog. Yeah, it's very holiday vibes right now. I love it. It's so fun. Yeah, wallpapers are really fun.
Yeah. They're just like fun to do. Everybody needs them because everyone's got a phone, you know?
Everyone's got a phone. Well, we hope. But yeah.
If you're watching this, you probably have one.
You probably have one. Thank you, Vidabel, for plugging in his Instagram. Make sure to follow him, Wit and Vinegar. You can check out the gifts that he made over the past 2 days. And this fun pattern hopefully will be up at some point.
It'll probably be up by like the end of the week.
Sometime.
With the post that goes up, so you guys can keep
And
an
recipe so that you guys can also create these cookies as well. And you said they were orange something?
They're a spiced orange sugar cookie. So
That's amazing.
gingerbread adjacent.
Okay.
So it has sort of the gingerbread vibes, but there's orange. It's not as dark. There's no molasses in them.
Okay.
But they're really good for cookie cutters. So if you need something to hold their shape, that's kind of a tricky thing because you can't use cookie cutters on just any cookie. It has to sort of be one that has the right amount of everything so that it doesn't get messed up in the oven.
Yeah, I would not have known that. Have you had like very like multiple instances where there's like things that you learned about like while you're cooking that you're like, I can't do that, or
yeah, all the time. I'm learning stuff all the time, and it's great and it's kind of rewarding at the same time because it's like humbling when something doesn't work, but then you end up learning from it, and then it usually doesn't happen again, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's worse than others, but
yeah. That's awesome. I love it. That looks so cute already.
But yeah, like something like this, you can just like keep adding and adding and adding, and
Ooh, yeah.
We can do.
Oh yeah,
we'll
that's
do this
fun.
one.
I like that. I like that standing up one.
Yeah.
Or
this is like
yeah, super fun. If you guys have any last minute questions, make sure to answer them in the chat. We are here for another few minutes. I love this. It's so fun. I love making like holiday theme stuff.
It helps get you in the spirit too. That's kind
It
of,
does.
and it's nice that we're doing this now. Like I'm not having to edit this and like.
Right. Yeah. You're like, you're making this now, so it'll be easy when you have the recipe to go and all that stuff. That's awesome. Cute. Oh, Eric says, I don't have a phone. Just kidding. Yeah, wallpapers, that's super fun. Cute. And there we go.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So we can kind of like play with the ribbon. We can play with the cookies. We can do more of these cookies.
Yeah, and you've got all the different angles and stuff like that, so you
Yeah,
just have endless options.
And then you can also like repeat some of these too. So I'll almost always be like, okay, here's one cookie that I need to redo. Or sometimes I'll go through, and if I'm shooting something in like the tomatoes when I did the tomatoes needed to be smaller in the frame and not as big, and then I'm like, oh, that means I need more, right? Yeah. And then it's like, it's okay, I'll just repeat this one. This one looks really good, so I'm gonna repeat it. And you can't tell unless you're staring at it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this already is looking really good. Yeah, so make sure to give Billy a follow over at Wit and Vinegar on Instagram, and make sure to subscribe to his blog
Yeah,
for some more really fun content. I think we are coming to a close for our second live stream. I know, it's so sad. This was such a fun 2 days of like GIFs and food photography and colorful fun stuff. Oh, Richard has a quick last minute question. Do you use a macro lens?
Yes. So this was all shot on 100, the 100 macro, even though we're not actually filling the frame with them. But I do think macros across the board just get a really nice crisp image, and they tend to sort of not really warp things, but make them look better, if that makes sense.
All right, guys. Well, we are at the end of our live stream, day 2, with Billy Green of Wit and Vinegar. Thank you guys so much for sticking around, and make sure that you watch the XD Creative Challenge after this. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.